The dudes are back with another episode, a Wednesday WWE episode of Two Dudes with Attitudes. What's up, Two Dudes Wolfpack? As always, I'm Mr. MWO, My Wrestling Opinion. And with me, as always, is the king of the gingers himself. Take that, Sami Zayn, Shooting Star
Right.
Press. What's going on?
Oh, man. It's Wednesday. It's been a good week of wrestling. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's an exciting time.
I think some things happen, right? And we're not going to talk about it today, but we might as well just throw it out there. The elephant in the room. The elephant in the room. Raw was in Chicago.
Yes.
And CM Punk was in the parking lot or the building. Did he get in the building? I saw pictures of him in a parking lot. Did he get inside? Yeah. I don't,
He was there.
Your boy was there. He was there. Man, weird, huh? Like apologizing, maybe. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, apparently he was. So what the reports are saying is that he was only there for like 20 minutes. He got to a common area in the backstage. He asked Triple H if it was okay if he was there, and Triple H said that, it's okay with me, but I got to check with the big guy. And I guess the big guy was Vince McMahon. Well, Vince McMahon was remotely working from Connecticut or wherever the heck he is. And that's when Vince McMahon said, no, he needs to go. And they took him out and he left without incident. But apparently he wanted to speak with Triple H. He shook hands with Triple H. He wanted to speak with him privately for a couple of minutes. He talked to The Miz and they cleared the air about some of their stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if this is the CM Punk apology tour. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what this man's really been up to since he left AEW with the brawl out stuff. We don't really know what he's been. We know he's been rehabbing his injury, and we think he's coming back to AEW, but we don't know what he's been up to. Has he been to therapy? Has he been talking to, people about letting things go and forgiveness? And my whole thing is, I think people are trying to make it into a negative that, oh, he's back there. He's grabbing Tony Khan by the balls and he's disrespecting AEW. I actually think this is a huge positive. If he's able to forgive the WWE, the company that sued him, the company that fired him on his wedding day, the company that essentially cost him his friendship with Colt Cabana. Because that whole lawsuit is what ruined their whole friendship. And in his terms, they mistreated him, and in his terms, they made him work while he was hurt, and all this stuff. If he's willing to let that be gone, let bygones be bygones after 9-10 years, then I think he can certainly make amends with Adam Page, Kenny Omega, Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, whoever else he's irritated in AEW. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and I guarantee you he told Tony Khan or somebody that he was doing this. I don't think he just like randomly showed up, texted Triple H and was like, yo, I'm out front. You think I can come in? I think this was planned. He's in Chicago. He knew they were coming and he did this for a reason. And maybe it is. Maybe he did see there. I mean, everyone can change. Everyone can get better. The thing in life is that people make mistakes, man. And like, we're humans. We all make mistakes. We all make huge mistakes. We all make little mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes in our lifetime. And I don't like when people don't want to give people chances to redeem or to better themselves. And just because CM Punk has made the same mistakes over and over and over again doesn't mean he can stop making those mistakes. And maybe he is going to, hey, if I can start here in WWE and make amends and tell people I'm sorry, then maybe I can go back to AEW and do the same thing. Maybe that was something that they were talking about, saying, I don't believe you. Maybe, the elite were saying, hey, I don't believe that you're sorry. You're BSing us and this and that. And Punk was like, okay, I'll show them. I'll go to something that doesn't even matter and doesn't have to concern with them and show them that I'm going to try to make an amends. Because him even showing up is making an amends, in my opinion, because he has crapped all over WWE. So, I mean, for him even to do, I don't think this was a money play because he's in his contract. It is what it is. I don't think this was like a shove in AEW's face because he does want to come back and he's not going to WWE. He can't. So no, I think it is. And I think it's fun. I think everything is just so funny because anything that happens in wrestling or in life in general that makes media there's always more to the story, right? Nothing can ever just be what it is. Everything has to be more than. And I think this is 100% a time where this is just what it is. He showed up, left in the end. And Vince makes sense. Like, hey, don't be here because you are going to get me freaking in trouble. So get the heck out of the building.
And I think that's exactly what it was. I don't think it's they took him out because the whole argument too was, well, Buddy Murphy was on TV for the Hall of Fame when sitting beside Rhea
Mm-hmm.
Ripley, and Andrade was at the Hall of Fame, and Ricky Starks was backstage with Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble. There's that
Mm-hmm.
big picture. But I think Vince's whole thing was the legal issues. It's the
Mm-hmm.
legal stuff that he can't be here, and he is under contract with AEW, and you could see if Tony Khan didn't know, you could see the narrative that
Mm-hmm.
well, Vince McMahon's trying to poach my people.
Yep. Tampering. Yep.
Triple H is contract tampering with contracted AEW staff. So I think they were just trying to get that out of there before it became a thing. But yeah, we don't know. I mean, we don't know what CM Punk was doing there, and but yeah, if I do think it's a positive. I think it's a step in the right direction, and if everything that came out is true, that and we won't know anything until he comes out and says something.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want them to stop doing though, and maybe when he comes back to AEW, don't take the cheap shots at WWE anymore. And I wish AEW would stop doing that in general, but that was something that Punk was known for when he was there. He always said that, you can go to WWE and main event. He said this to MJF, go main event the night one of a buy one, get one free extravaganza, just little subtle jabs at the WWE. If you're really forgiving them, don't take those jabs anymore and kind of create your own narrative and create your own story. So
I agree. And I agree with that because I've been talking about it for years that I hate you look Bush League. If you got to bring somebody else up, you look Bush League because that means you're trying to mention them for a reason.
Right.
Yeah. But once again, what did CM Punk say this week? But we're done with that. We don't even need to do that segment. Let's move on to SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown. And WWE is still clicking, man. We're still doing our thing. SmackDown didn't have a whole lot going on. They're focusing on matches more so than just trying to do backstage interviews, promos, storyline building so much so. But I'm going to take a couple of the smaller things this week. Let you start off with the bigger things. But I want to talk about your boy. I'm going to go off first with your boy because you love your boy.
Yes,
Mr. Karrion Kross. I want to talk about Karrion Kross, your boy, your number one. And Karrion Kross came back. He came in I don't know if you're a big Miley Cyrus fan. You have a couple of daughters. I don't think they're at that age yet, but he came in like a wrecking ball, right? I mean, he really did. He came in hyped, called out Roman, was like TikToking it. His wife was like looking magnificent. He was looking good at the moment. He didn't have his weird, creepy, put you on a milk carton or fence, don't let this guy around your child, haircut. He didn't look too he wasn't wearing random leather jacket suits and everything. He was just whatever. And he started off so great. And then he just kind of started faltering a little bit. There's Mr. B-Roll in the house. Karrion Kross is awesome. I have nothing against Karrion Kross. Once again, you can be phenomenal. It's all about the booking. And what I hated was that he was booked great in NXT. And then he came over and became a 50 Shades of Grey character where he was dressed all up in the, BDSM or whatever, BSD, I don't know what they say, but whatever it is. And he was looking like him and Scarlett were going to go have some fun. Actually, I think Scarlett, didn't she get left behind? I don't even think she was around, right? When he came over, didn't they kind of put her to the side? I forget. But either way, it was a disaster. By himself.
Yeah. And they shaved his head and
but I like the shaved head because I know I'm bald and look, you're looking bald right now too. Men are more intimidating when they're bald when they have a big fluff of hair. Not too many people. Yeah, not too many people are afraid of people with a good haircut. I've got even MMA fighters when they come out with nice hair, you're intimidated of the guys with bald heads and tattoos. That's just what looks scary. So him with this flowy, greasy hair isn't intimidating, but he's trying to be this intimidating character. But nonetheless, he left. Freddie Prinze Jr., my dude, tried to sign him up and tried to bring him into his organization. And then he got a call back to WWE from Triple H himself once Triple H took over everything. And it looked promising. And then he kind of just floundered away. He hasn't really done anything. And it's bad because I actually like him way more than you do. I think he can go. I think he cuts good promos. And when you have someone as fine as his wife backing you up, you're going to go places. I mean, she has that sexy, creepy vibe. And she doesn't have to be a wrestler. It just all works. So he came back and now he's doing these card promos. And he did it with Drew McIntyre. He did it with Madcap Moss. He did it with Rey Mysterio. And that's what he kind of was talking about, that it isn't me who is choosing destroy you and ruin your careers. And I should have taken the notes, and I know you probably know it better, but he said he took something from Drew McIntyre, and they showed highlights of it, of Drew literally kicking his butt in every, like Drew won all those. And then he talked about taking, he made Rey Mysterio lose it. He's the reason why Rey Mysterio like beat up his son, lost his vision. And then Madcap Moss, I don't know, he took his name. And you said he called him Riddick Moss, which is that his real name? I don't know.
Yeah, that was his like NXT name. He was Riddick Moss.
Got it. So I don't know if that was that was a recorded backstage promo. I'm assuming that was planned. And then now it is time for Shinsuke Nakamura's time to be destroyed. And he said he was going to take his tradition or his I forgot, it was something his in the fire, Asian passion. His passion or something. Yeah, something about his like drive, or I don't know. But either way, I don't see how Shinsuke comes back for one match and then loses the Karrion Cross. Maybe he does. I don't know. What I'm getting at after that long spiel is that we're messing him up. We thought he was lost when Vince came back, and now he's been back. He's been cutting backstage promos. Do we need to keep doing backstage promos? Do you like this car thing, or does he just need to shut his mouth, get out here, wrestle, and kick butt? I mean, the dude works because of his entrance and his girl. That's like his two main factors. Everything else he can be good at. But when you think about Karrion Cross, you think about his entrance and you think about Scarlett. I can't be wrong with that. I'm not the only one who thinks that. So why are we not focusing on that? Why are we not constantly having his entrance with his woman out there? And why are we doing backstage promos? Or do you think this is a good way to build him back up? What say you? What is he doing?
Yeah, I'm not feeling this. And I think that the whole thing too is he lost to Drew McIntyre, so he didn't take anything from Drew McIntyre. He lost in that feud. He lost to Rey Mysterio, so he didn't take anything from that feud against Rey. And he's probably going to lose to Shinsuke, because Shinsuke just came back. So I don't really understand what they're doing with him. I really don't get it. I don't understand it. I loved his comeback when he came back. That it was the SmackDown after SummerSlam. Everybody was excited about the return, all the Triple H returns, because the Raw after SummerSlam, he brought Damage Control out. He brought back Dexter Lumis and that whole thing. Triple H was killing it with the returns. And then the SmackDown after, or it was after Clash of the Castle, not SummerSlam, but Clash of the Castle. And then Drew McIntyre and Roman were having a segment, and then here comes Karrion Cross, and it was a cool way to return. And then he's just floundered since, and I think he's going to flounder in this. I'm not. They need to do something, because he's got a fire entrance, and his wife is awesome. She's freaking a bombshell. So I do think they need to do something with him, but I don't know, this tarot card thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not digging it. I mean, it's a cool something different, I guess, but. He needs to start winning some matches. It's hard to take people seriously when they constantly lose.
I agree, and I agree with that. If you're not going to win, then like we were talking about that, and we'll probably talk about it on our Raw segment with Finn Balor. Like, you can't continue to be a badass if you always lose. Whether or not you lose close or you're almost, like, no one thinks The Miz is a badass. We all respect The Miz and love him, but he loses all the time. Nobody's going to have The Miz come out and then be like, oh crap, not The Miz. Like, what are you going to do? Lose the Snoop Dogg? Like, you don't have fear in him, right? And I think that's the problem. So do the tarot card thing, sure, but then have him come out and win. Maybe have him do the tarot card promo after he beats people above them, and have Scarlett whip him out and say, yeah, and this person's next, and throw it on him or something. Kind of like what Carmelo does with the shirts. Every time before he wrestles someone, he comes out with their face and like an X through it, and then he steps on it, and like do something like that after you beat them. You know what I mean? You can't just, can't just talk the talk, got to walk the walk. And
I think he would. I think he could benefit really well from another NXT run. Put him back and go after Carmelo Hayes, go after Wesley, go after these young bucks, no pun intended, that are up and coming superstars, and take them out and prevent them from growing.
Well, let's save that. Let's save that, because we got our segment coming up, and we can talk about people switching around, because people are going to go to NXT as well. We're not just going to have NXT call up. We're going to have people go down as well. So. All right. What's your two things? I think I might know a little bit, but what you talking about?
Yeah. So this whole episode, ever since Triple H announced the draft, which was about 3 weeks ago, it's kind of felt like SmackDown has just been a bunch of filler episodes. And I wanted to talk about the main event, the Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa no disqualification match, and it feels very Forrest Gump to me, right? I got to meet the president again. I got to go to the White House again, and it's Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa again. The Usos interfere again, and there's a post-match beatdown after the match again. It's just, and that's how the show ends, and it's been like that for the last couple of weeks, and I thought the match was good. I thought it was entertaining, and anytime they say, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are not here tonight, I keep thinking like, oh, they're there. They're going to show up at the very last minute, and they literally were not there. So
yeah,
shame on me for believing that, but yes, or for not believing them, because they actually held up their end of the bargain. And but yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like everything for SmackDown is either getting ready for the draft, or they're all setting up for this tag team title match, the WrestleMania rematch, which is going to air this Friday, as well as the draft. So it just kind of felt blah. It kind of felt very, very, it was a fun match. It was an entertaining match. Solo had some great spots. I love the part where they Matt Riddle flipped the commentary table over on top of him, and then Solo Sikoa just comes out of there and pushes it up, and he goes into the ring, does the Samoan spike, and just knocks out Matt Riddle and pins him. It was they're booking Solo so strong. He's such a badass, and but yeah, it just feels wash, rinse, repeat with this main event over and over and over.
Yeah, and Solo, I mean, he came out like Frankenstein, right? Like, but you got to give props to Riddle's face too, because he was like,
yeah, it was
like, and then he flipped a table over, like it was hilarious.
Also, I want to give props to Matt Riddle's legs, because there was another. I don't mean that to sound as.
No, you did. It's all good.
Now that I say it out loud, yeah.
No, you did. No, it's all right. Hey, he has good legs. Get over it. Yeah. It's all right.
No, but there was a spot where Solo Sikoa was trying to push the commentary table onto Matt Riddle, and Matt Riddle was using his legs to prevent him from doing it. And I was like, man, like either he's got really strong legs or Solo is not as strong as I thought he is. But yeah, apparently his leg muscles, he didn't skip leg day that day, and he prevented Solo from flipping the commentary table over onto him.
I mean, have you seen Riddle's legs? And in the UFC, he was a kicker. I mean, he was a jiu-jitsu guy, but he kicked, and he walks around barefoot all the time. He wrestles barefoot. You gotta have some kind of strong legs if you're just.
I can't imagine wrestling barefoot.
So me either. Like falling on like the everywhere and jumping off things, and I don't understand. I can barely walk around my house without shoes on. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree. SmackDown has been like, when I saw it was Solo versus Riddle again, I was like, Like, and not only that, but we're not even going back and forth. Like Riddle's just, you would think that Riddle would be like, look, this dude has demolished me the last couple weeks. My dudes are not here. That's a hard no. Yeah. Like I'll pass on that. Like, why would you like that when wrestling? Like I say, I understand we all know it's scripted, but sometimes you got to make it real. Like what dude is going to be like, all right, fine. My friends aren't here. Your friends are, or your brothers. We're going to wrestle again, although you keep kicking my butt. And yes, I will sign a no disqualification match where I'm literally left to hung out to dry, because I know you're not going to bring anybody in to help you. So check. I'll take it. Like, let's like, and he didn't even say like, no way, and this and that. And then they had like Adam Pearce come out and go like, sorry, like money talks, bro. You need to go out and have this 8th week straight main event with him. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I always think it's weird when people Matt Riddle's over here talking about he's not dumb and high all the time, but I'm assuming he was dumb and high when he made that
probably
decision. But let's move on. We gotta move something with, like, I get that Solo Sikoa is now the Roman Reigns of the bloodline or whatever they're going with it. I mean, he even on Raw, which I don't want to get too into because it's Raw, but he even like told Jimmy to sit the F down. Jimmy was like going crazy on Jay, and he was like, and Jimmy was like, my bad. So like Solo is that dude, even though he's the younger brother and everything. But you're right. SmackDown's feeling like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. But I want to talk about something
movie.
Great. Heck yeah. If you haven't seen it, go check it out right now. Most Bill Murray movies are freaking fantastic. I want to talk about some match announcements, because we got some like built storyline matches announced this week. So I mean, saw them coming. I was looking forward to these matches getting announced, and then they got announced. So first one, Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed. And yes, I know that this was, they had their thing going on, but I still think this was out of left field because Theory's not really beefing with either of them, and they're beefing with each other, and now they're all kind of having a triple threat match where I'm assuming Theory will win by them two fighting over who gets to pin him or something.
Yeah.
I haven't been impressed with Bronson Reed. I think for a big man that he is, he's not that intimidating. His splash is pretty good, but he does some like stupid thing off the side apron where he just like jumps on you. It's not even like a cool move, and people, they sell it like he like just took out like every, like Michael Cole sells it like it's a freaking grenade. Or not Michael Cole, maybe it's Corey Graves. I forget. I think it's on Raw. Or no, it's SmackDown, right? I don't know. But either way, it's like, yeah, they're rawing it up. Yeah, but the announcement was on SmackDown. But yeah, this is not a match that I'm too like big on. I'm not digging the Bronson Reed thing. I mean, more power to him. Hopefully he has a career and gets his thing. I mean, his splash is looking good, but other than that, I'm not too into it. But the match that we all saw coming, once again, Seth freaking Rollins versus Omos. Seth called him Omos, right? So I can't do the fake name anymore.
Yeah, Brock called him Omos.
Yeah, I know, but Seth isn't doing that. But where the heck have Seth and Omos even walked by each other yet? Have they like I know Raw, don't get me, I'm talking about when this announcement was made. Had these guys even crossed paths? Have they even been in the same room when they're doing catering? Have they, and I'm talking about this in real life, like, dude, have these dudes ever met? Like, where do you have Seth like being on a roll right now and winning things, and then you have Omos who just got squashed? B-roll! Omos's last chance, I think. All right, let's see. Maybe B-roll, maybe. I know my boy over here is going to have something else to talk about, but
yeah,
maybe like I like you just got squashed by Brock Lesnar. So let's give you Seth freaking Rollins, who's probably the hottest guy right now, who's coming off a huge win at WrestleMania. I'm so confused by this booking. And now obviously they're trying to push it, but Brock and Omos was weird enough, but at least you wanted Brock to like F5 him because you want Brock to be able to accomplish every feat in WWE before he retires. But Seth ain't going to carry Omos. This match is going to be a train wreck. I don't see how this is going to like turn out. This is going to be NXT triple threat women's match. You know what I mean? It's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be like someone getting injured or something. I just don't see. And is it going to be another squash match, or is it going to be what you want to talk about? So what do you think? What's going on here? Why the heck is Omos? I get it. It's Vince McMahon. Damn it. Who's next? Who do you want to win the title? Seth? Then give him Omos because Omos needs to be the champion. So, I mean, I don't know what is going on. If you think that's what's going on, or maybe they signed him to a big contract and he makes a lot of money, so they don't want to waste them. Or maybe they are giving him his last chance and seeing if he can actually go with big name people. I don't know, but the dude is greener than green. So let's see. Sure.
And I just, this was, talk about out of left field. This was weird. This was just, I saw it and I was like, wait, what? I like went back and I tried to like rewatch Raw just because I remember I didn't remember Seth Rollins even being on Raw.
He wasn't. He skipped it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I went back and looked and he wasn't. I was like, maybe I missed something. Maybe there was a backstage segment where Seth is doing his laugh and he bumps into Omos and that's what sets up their match. But because, Xavier Woods got an Intercontinental title match by playing the trombone in the proximity of Gunther. So maybe he just stepped on his shoe or something and backstage. But no, there was nothing. And
really quick. He's not the first person to play a trombone and get a promotion in WWE. I just want you to know that. Don't set me up, bro. Don't set me up.
That's our show this week, everybody. That's it.
It's McMahon, damn it.
That's right.
Continue. Sorry.
But man, no, I don't even know how to follow that up.
Keep going. So I had to say it. Don't set me up.
No.
Right, go.
So the rumor. So one thing is, I try not to look at dirt sheets. I really do. But I read something because they just when I think I'm out, they draw me back in, and I read something and it said that the opponent for Roman Reigns is rumored at Night of Champions now. It was King of the Ring, but Night of Champions now in Saudi Arabia is going to be Omos, and so that makes me cringe a little bit. Just that whole idea alone makes me cringe, but also it makes me fear that Seth Rollins might lose this match to Omos to make Omos look strong going into his title match in Saudi Arabia. I don't think it makes any sense. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I have no idea, but you know how the Saudi is. You know, they want the Saudi government. They don't care about WWE stories. They don't care about, you know, they don't care about anything. They like randomness, and they want the big star, which is Roman Reigns, against the big star, which would be, and I use air quotes around big because, or star rather, because, you know, he's a tall guy, and that's really what they want him. The circus act, the giant in Omos, and so.
Yeah.
And that would also be Roman's 1,000th day, and it would be a good opponent for him to have on his 1,000th day as champion. But so that's what I'm hearing. I hope that's not true, because Seth Rollins to go from beating Logan Paul at WrestleMania and being one of the hottest guys right now to wrestling to losing to Omos the very next month. I don't know. I just, this was all before Triple H's big announcement on Raw, which we'll talk about. But
yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the plan is, but this is, I didn't really want to see Omos versus Brock. And now I definitely do not want to see Omos versus Seth. I feel bad for Seth, because I do think he deserves better. But maybe he can, you know, Seth is one of those guys. I think he could wrestle like a wet napkin and make it be entertaining. So maybe he can bring the best of Omos out and make us Omos sapiens again or whatever. But
nice.
but I don't know. I'm just not, I'm not feeling this. And this was completely random. And that's the one thing about this whole thing. It's just randomness. You know, we killed AEW for the build to Revolution, because we all thought it was completely random. There were some random matches. There was no story. There's no build to it. We got to kill WWE for this too, because we're 2 weeks away and we're just finding out about this match, and there's no story. There's no build. Why should we care about this? And I have no reason to care about it.
Yeah, I agree. And Omos is now like the king of being booked randomly. He doesn't have to do anything. He hasn't even been shown since like he lost, and they're just like, oh, now you have a match against the best in the biz. I mean, I have total faith in Seth, but this is going to be his streak ending, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to have a hot match here. I think win or lose, I think this match is going to be meh, and I think he's going to get the best out of him, but this ain't going to be, I mean, he's coming off maybe one of the best matches he's had at WrestleMania, and now he's going to have this. So, but once again, let's see what happens. You know, as Limp Bizkit once said, you have to have faith. So, you know what I mean?
Keep rolling.
Yeah, we gotta. Well, that's what the Undertaker said. So yes. So we'll see what happens.
Do it all for the nookie. Okay.
Yeah, there you. Well, Vince does. All right, let's. Hey yo.
Yeah. So one last thing for SmackDown, for me, is the wrestling on this show was phenomenal. It was a great night of wrestling for SmackDown. And I feel like they've been focusing a lot more on the wrestling, more so than segments. There was only like one in-ring segment, and that was the Usos pre-match promo between Solo and Matt Riddle. So going to the wrestling, the IC title match, the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunther and Xavier Woods, I thought was a banger. And it was one of, I thought Xavier brought it. I thought he looked strong. He looked great. You know, he's been bringing it without the New Day by his side, without Big E, and now without Kofi. You know, I really thought he might flounder on the roster, but he seems to be getting opportunities. And I thought he looked strong, even in defeat. I thought he looked really strong. He hit some great moves on Gunther. You know, Gunther brought it as usual. I thought this certainly the match of the night. I think it should have ended the show. Anytime you have a championship match, I think it should end the show over the Solo Sikoa stuff. But this was a good match. And one thing, there was a fun fact too, that this was Xavier Woods has been in the WWE for quite a while, and this was his first time ever going for a singles title. He's only gone after tag team matches and tag team titles, but this is his first singles title match that he's ever had in the WWE, which I thought was absolutely crazy, but well deserved. And I think he looks strong even in defeat, and I think the future remains bright for Xavier Woods without Kofi, without Big E.
Yeah, and I'll keep it with the old school references, because I'm going to tell you what I want, what I really, really want, and that is more Xavier Woods. I mean, oh, look at that.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. Nice 2000s. That one might be 90s, but either way, close enough. It's toward the end of 90s. Maybe it's, you know, in that 2000s. Yeah, I'm aging myself at that young, handsome 42. I have been around the block, but I think
Jenny
Xavier
from the block.
Jenny. Oh, don't be fooled by the rocks Gunther got. But seriously, Xavier Woods is money. I thought the dude brought it, especially against Gunther. And I think this was a nice showing. If they were wondering if they can push Xavier Woods like they have a Kofi or a Big E, I think this is proven. Like I said, he's been bulking up. He's been more serious. I know he was playing the trombone to get it. To get hit. I ruined the trombone thing now. Yeah. But either way, he has done what you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's doing what he needs to do to be a serious threat. And I do like it. And I think that match makes him a serious threat. But also at the same time, dude, Gunther. And when we talk about the announcement that Triple H has made, I'm sure Gunther's name's going to get brought up. And it's how unreal that this dude, and I was just talking about Seth Rollins can't have a banger with Omos, but Gunther can have a banger with, I mean, he's wrestling all different types of styles. And I think the thing about Gunther is that he's like FTR. Like, he is going to wrestle his way, right? No matter what. And their way works with everybody, because when you're not like a high flyer or somebody who relies on all that fancy stuff, you can always keep the match level and you can take the high flying. So if you're wrestling a high flyer, you can take it all, but then you can dish it all. If you're wrestling a big guy, you're in that zone where you can, you know, keep them grounded and he's just meant for this business. He finally got in phenomenal effing shape. And I'm not saying you have to be in phenomenal shape to be a star. I'm not body shaming, because look at Kevin Owens, and he's one of my all-time favorites, and he brings it more than anybody. I'm just saying he looks threatening. He brings it. He looks like a star. He presents himself like a star. Imperium is the crew and faction to not mess with. I'm all for it. Gunther and Xavier Woods, congratulations. It was great stuff. Great stuff. So yeah. Good things. Let's keep the Xavier Woods rolling. All right. Now it's time for Monday Night Raw. Let's keep it raw, y'all. And Monday Night Raw had a lot going on. We had some announcements. We had some other things. Once again, I'm going to leave all the fun stuff for you. I'm going to talk about, because every week I have to talk about my boy Dominic Mysterio, because the Dom Fan Club president cannot not talk about him. But WWE hasn't given me anything to talk about, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because they're pushing Rhea to SmackDown and maybe they are breaking up in the draft, which we can talk about. But Rhea wasn't on Raw. She wasn't on SmackDown. I don't remember her on either. I don't know. Maybe she's on. I don't read the dirt sheets. Maybe she's just taking a quick break. But Judgment Day was there, and Dominic was like really nowhere. Finn came out by himself and kind of called out Cody Rhodes and wanted to wrestle him into a match. And as soon as that happened, I was like, fan-freaking-tastic, because that means another L for Judgment Day, because Finn ain't going to beat Cody Rhodes, and I guess they don't believe in disqualifications with Judgment Day. They either lose or lose. Damian Priest is trying to get pushed, right? They're making him a threat. He's kicking everyone's butt. He's intimidating. He looks like the dude from Grandma's Boy with that long black jacket. Another 2000s reference. Yeah, I'm on a roll. I don't know if you've seen Grandma's Boy, but the weirdo guy who's like, how did you see me? Let me sit on your face. Yeah, that, like, does he not have that same jacket? I mean, he looks like that. Yeah. So it's like whatever he's doing, but he's kicking butt and taking names. And what do? We get Bad Bunny challenging just Damian Priest to a match. He's no longer the host. He's now gonna whoop some butt. And holy cow, does that spell an L for Damian Priest? If I've ever seen a guaranteed L, that's it. And then we have a backstage promo where Damian Priest is talking about Bad Bunny and whatever else, and how he's going to wrestle Rey Mysterio later on in the night, which Rey Mysterio won by disqualification. So I guess they do have some DQs here and there. And what do? They pan to Dominic Mysterio, who's kind of like in the shadows, not even there. And the 1 second they panned on him, that crowd booed. Once again, you have the most over heel. Do not acclaim him. Like, keep him as the most over thing going on. They panned him for 1 second. He says, yeah, what my dad's butt. And then they like pan back over to Damian. And that's all we really get of Dominic Mysterio. What the heck is happening at Judgment Day? You're still keeping them relevant, but you're separating them. No Rhea. Finn really didn't hang out with them that much. You have Dominic now being like left behind. Like, you can't have Dominic still hyping up with Damian Priest. I mean, there's still the Bad Bunny. It's still an LWO thing. I mean, Bad Bunny still smacked the taste out of his mouth. You can't do that. So where are we going? Is this because we're splitting? Is just because right now they're just trying to build other people and Dominic will come back? Will he lose his heat? Like, does he only, if he doesn't have his dad, is he lost? Like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, that's my fear. That's my fear. Is that if he doesn't have Ray, he might be lost. And I really think this should have been a tag team match. It should have been Damian Priest and Dominic against Bad Bunny
Ray
and
and
Ray.
yep.
This whole thing started at WrestleMania when Bad Bunny, Damian Priest wasn't, I mean, he was at ringside at WrestleMania, but he didn't have a match, but Dominic did. And Bad Bunny cost Dominic the match by taking the chain out of his hand. And then the next night on Raw that we were at, the worst Raw ever, Bad Bunny punched Dominic Mysterio, and then that led to Damian Priest putting him through the table. And so I honestly think this should have been a tag team match at Backlash. And maybe they're keeping Dominic to the side because they're worried about the heel heat that he's generating, and that he might overshadow Damian Priest, because
Maybe
Damian Priest is in a high profile match and they want him to get the heel heat. They don't want Dominic to get all the buzz. But I don't know. I am a little worried because he didn't come out on SmackDown either when it was just Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And then he didn't come out this week on Monday Night Raw either. And I thought for sure he'd be there to hype him up and everything. So yeah, and then the whole Rhea Ripley thing too. No Rhea Ripley. Zelina. There was a segment on SmackDown where Zelina Vega was talking to Adam Pearce about wrestling in Puerto Rico, and Adam Pearce was for the women's title wrestling Rhea Ripley, and Adam Pearce was like, "Yeah, I'll ask Rhea. I'll ask the management. We'll make this official." And then they never followed up on it. And then like 2 minutes later, there's a promo or a one of these match announcements that Zelina Vega gets her wish. The match is booked, and it's just all she has to do is ask for a match. Like I don't understand that, but
Adam Pearce also never has to ask anybody. That dude makes random choices all the time. Then all of a sudden he was like, I got to make sure Rhea's okay with it, and management, and who's upper management, like Vince, like who? It was weird.
Who? Yeah. And like, so who's this? Because Chelsea Green's been asking to see Adam Pearce's manager. So like, I know. So and he's been like, oh, there's nobody here. Like now all of a sudden you've got somebody. Like, oh, okay, I don't understand. But yeah, I still think that this match. I mean, Damian's been looking really strong. He pinned Escobar on SmackDown. He had a great match with Ray. I'm excited for him because I think he can go. And he didn't get to have a chance to shine at WrestleMania when the other people of Judgment Day did. So I think this is his chance to really showcase what he can do. But I still am in the camp that this should be a tag team match with Dominic and Damian Priest and against Ray and Bad Bunny. But yeah,
and that way Ray could take the L, and so Judgment Day can win, and it won't affect Bad Bunny too much because he didn't technically lose. And
and then you can then set up maybe for SummerSlam with Ray versus Dominic, because this way each of them have a win against each other technically. Maybe Priest does all the work and then Dominic gets the pin on Ray, or I don't know, something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not digging it.
Yep, I agree.
So I guess we need to we got to talk about this big announcement that's going to rock the foundation of the WWE. I don't know if they're trolling AEW whenever they do this stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
But it kind of feels like, this one in particular, this is going to rock the foundation of the company as we know it. But the big announcement this week from Triple H is that they are reintroducing or bringing it back. I don't know, but the
sexy back.
Bringing sexy back. There you go. They're bringing back the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's going to go to whatever brand Roman Reigns is not drafted to. So if Roman's drafted to SmackDown, this is going to be a Raw title. If Roman's on Raw, this is going to be a SmackDown title. And then they unveiled the title, and it was kind of lackluster to me. It looked very toyish, but I don't know. I didn't like this announcement. I feel like when you make an announcement, you can't give us piece by piece. You got to give us the whole thing, right? When he announced the draft, he didn't tell us anything about the draft. He didn't tell us if NXT's included in the draft. He didn't tell us if there's going to be NXT call-ups to the draft. He didn't give us anything. He didn't even tell us the date of the draft. We found out like a couple weeks later. he didn't tell us. And then this week, he doesn't tell us what's happening with the tag team titles. He doesn't tell us what's happening with Sami Zayn and KO and their belts. Are they going to go from brand to brand because they're fighting? I thought this whole thing with Triple H was really unnecessary because I think WWE's been fine the way it's been. I don't think.
Yeah.
I know there's people that it's probably a network thing. They want a world champion on both shows. I'm sure it's a fan thing as well because Roman's not there. But honestly, like you've elevated the Intercontinental title to where people want to fight for it. You've elevated the US title to where former world champions want to go after this thing. I mean, Bobby Lashley's a former WWE champion and he's going after the US title and he's been wrestling for the US title for a while. And then the same thing with the Intercontinental title. You had Sheamus and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, two former WWE champions, going after the Intercontinental title, and that's been a long time since that's ever happened. John Cena just wrestled for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. You've done a great job elevating those titles, and I think a lot of that has had to do with the fact that the world title really hasn't been on or featured as much. And now I just feel like those titles are going to lose their luster. Even Austin Theory cut a promo, basically talking about how he wants that title, which like I get, you should want it. You should want the world, but you're the current U.S. champion. He kind of threw his title under the bus because he wants that new title that's going to look great around his waist. He didn't say in addition to my U.S. title or but right now I'm the U.S. champion and I have this beautiful thing. He just was like, I want that and I'm going to go after it. And then I didn't like the subtle jabs at Roman Reigns either. Like that I thought that was all a little unnecessary. A champion that you can be proud of, a champion that won't need your acknowledgement, that will earn your acknowledgement. This will be a fighting champion. Like you guys, you make the decisions. So you allowed this to happen. And I don't know. I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't like the subtle jabs at Roman. And then what is this title? Is it the we can't beat Roman Reigns title? So here's second place. I mean, I don't know. And then what happens to Roman? Does he get one belt now? Does he, are you going to give him a new championship on the 1000th day? And he's now the undisputed champion, even though he's not undisputed because you're building another title. I don't know. I didn't care for this. I didn't hate the announcement. I just hated that the way it was announced and how they gave it to us piece by piece.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is that I think it's all about the execution. So for one, I know the internet was blowing up about how much they loved this belt and how beautiful it was and yada, yada, yada. I thought it was whatever. I think, oh, there you go. My boy Patrick thinks it's beautiful. I think you're right. It's toyish. I think they all look it. I think whoever's designing WWE belts just doesn't know what they're doing. I don't think any of them are that great. Once again, it kind of looked 3D-ish. I don't like that the logo takes up the entire belt. I don't like it. It looked like too much was going on. That's what all their belts look like. Why did people like the big gold belt? It was simple. That's why people liked, the Winged Eagle belt. I mean, they're all simple belts. Intercontinental was just simple. We don't need too much going on. And I just feel like they need to do like AEW. AEW is simple. They just do their belts and they look like belts and that's it. You don't have to overdo it. And I just think they try too hard. Secondly, you could have went so many ways of splitting this belt. And I think by doing it the way they did makes this belt not feel important. Because for one, it's going to give Roman Reigns fuel to clown this person saying like, okay, have fun with your fake belt. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, you earned it by somebody creating a belt and handing it to you. Like I won all these belts and this and that. Also, I don't like that now Roman went from the undisputed heavyweight champion, universal champion of the world to now just being the universal champion. So now he's just the universal. So is he getting a new belt? Is he just carrying that one belt? Does the new one? So the new one's more important or is the universal more important? Like what's the more important? It's just all super confusing. And you could have had with the storyline right now with Sami Zayn, which we'll talk about, and Jimmy and Jay. Why couldn't Roman wrestle somebody, Seth Rollins, if that's who you're going to give it to, whoever you're going to give the belt to? Why couldn't he wrestle and just not put up his universal, put up the heavyweight, right? Because the universal is what keeps his streak going. And one of the Usos cost him the belt. And so he doesn't lose cleanly. He loses. It doesn't affect Roman. He still has his record going. He's still a champ. Now you've split that belt. Now they can take it to the other brand in the draft. And now you have two champions and the champion earned it. Instead, you just like come out with this thing. And like you said, Hunter literally went from eating Roman's butt and talking about how phenomenal he is to about how bad he sucks and how he's not around anymore. He's like, I know I agreed to the contract and gave it to him and let him sign it, but what a chump, right, people? Let's get a real champion. And if I was Gunther in theory, I would have been like, yeah, that's who we are. And you're right. It's elevated. I said that since day one, how I've always defended Roman being part-time because it makes all the other belts feel important and it makes his belt feel important. So now I'm kind of wondering about the follow through and what Roman does and where he goes with this. But other than that, I think we need 2 titles. We do. I mean, it's nice to have split, especially if we're going to stick. That it gave me confidence in the draft that the draft will legit be split brands and stay that way, not have people floating around. That's why you need 2 champs. Just the execution wasn't done right. And once again, I think WWE makes bad decisions when they go to Saudi because they have to do it because they get paid so much damn money to go there. So they have to give them what they want. And I think it makes you make poor decisions. So, yeah.
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, this was just I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, I guess, but I don't know. I still like the idea of how they used to do it, of the champion goes on both brands, and because that's the perk of being a champion, right? You have to go defend on Raw, you may have to defend on SmackDown. Yeah, so I'm not. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of 2 separate champions because, again, which one's more important, and yeah, but I do think WWE needs Roman Reigns to come back like ASAP and cut a promo and respond to this and get his thoughts on all this. I think
which he will.
Yeah. Soon.
And speaking of that, the Bloodline. Let's talk about the Bloodline because they were featured again, but not really like as they were. They're just kind of like the Solo and Uso club now, and they feel kind of bland. I felt like they felt more important before, maybe because Sammy was there, and now without Sammy, they just don't have as enough mustard to kind of for the hot dog. It's just like, I mean, they need Roman here and there. They just felt very flat nowadays. But basically, the whole thing was that Sammy decided to talk to Jay because Jay and Jimmy are always by themselves randomly in dark alleys, and Sammy knows where they're going to be. So Sammy basically told him, "Hey, you're being used, blah blah blah. How dare you say that you're doing this for Roman? Do things for yourself." Getting in his head. Then Jay, Jimmy, and Solo are hanging out, and Jay's like, I talked to Sammy, and this is what he said. And Jimmy got heated and was like, man, you let him get in your head and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then Solo was like, sit. And then Jimmy was like, look, man, you just gotta don't listen to him, this and that. So then Jimmy knows where Sammy is hiding. And so he goes and finds Sammy and tells him to stay out his brother's ear, and that KO is actually the one turning on him, and that when you lose the belts, he's going to disown you because of everything you did and you deserve what you get. And Sammy was kind of like, eh. And then Sammy and Riddle and KO had a thing because KO's like, why do you keep trying to save them? And Riddle's like, bro, let's be cool, bro. And the end. So we have all this stuff, and we have the rematch on SmackDown this Friday, the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood rematch. And we'll see who wins. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the Usos, but I like where they're going with it because they're keeping the story going. I do. But like I said, you could have used this to have Roman get hurt and to lose a belt rather than just for fun. But it also is getting kind of stale. We need to kind of the one thing about what we've always said about the Bloodline was that it was never boring. The story was always moving. It was always changing. Now the story is kind of here. And it's not. We're getting the same matches, the same people talking, the same bickering. I'll give it to SmackDown. Let's see what happens after this and if we start branching off in other ways. But if we're going to keep Sammy in the ear of the Usos and the Bloodline, they can't keep wrestling. We need people to start wrestling other people. They can still have their moments, but they don't have to be wrestling. I also thought it's really funny that every time they see each other, they have to attack each other, but they're also okay with just like having casual conversations in the back, and they can keep it together. So, but either way, I mean, it is what it is. It's okay, but we've definitely, I feel like we're once again hitting the peak of the Bloodline, and we need to get this shit moving again. So
yeah, and like I said, I think one piece of that is Roman Reigns. They need him back ASAP to really help drive things forward a little bit, because I think maybe he'll come back on Raw or SmackDown next week, wherever he's drafted. I think he'll make an appearance because he's probably I don't think the Usos are winning the tag titles back on Friday, and I think Roman's probably going to have enough, and he's going to make an appearance, and hopefully then we'll see the confrontation between Jimmy, Jay, and Roman Reigns. What does he do with them because they keep losing, and they're they're hurting the bloodline, and maybe we can get some movement going from that direction. So yeah, I think the bloodline needs Roman back, but I do want to say one thing about Jay. I want him as my hype man. If I'm
Right?
ever like, if I'm ever like, if I'm ever having a rough day, I just want to be able to call Jay Uso, because I don't know if you saw him on the phone, but after they beat the LWO, he's back there on the phone, just like he's cutting a promo in the ring. He's like, "Yeah, we won, we did it,
Yeah.
Uso." He's like talking on the phone. He's like, "We won." Like we always do, we the ones, they the twos, we the one. Like I'm like, man, like I want to just call him.
And he was
Like,
ordering food.
yeah, he was like, get that mahi,
With
extra,
soy
yeah,
sauce.
with soy sauce,
That
yeah.
was hilarious.
I was
I
like,
forgot
dude,
about that.
this is freaking awesome. Like, I want to call him, and like, I wish I could be his delivery boy. Like deliver I want a pepperoni, no anchovies. But we won. We the Usi. We gonna go out there. We gonna win tag titles back. 9-time champs. I was like, okay, this is awesome. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we've hit a point where the bloodline is starting to flatten out a little bit. And again, I think WWE's just been kind of coasting. I think they're trying to get through Puerto Rico. I think they're trying to get through the draft, and then hopefully we'll start going in some new directions with the bloodline, because I think it needs it. And I love Sammy, I love KO, and I will give them credit on this, because I think that all of them, Jimmy has great points, Sami Zayn has great points, Jey Uso has great points, and so Jimmy was right to Sami, saying that he could turn, KO could turn on you, he could turn on you immediately, and especially if you guys lose, because you think he's forgotten all the stuff you put him through when you were the honorary Uso. And then Sammy has good points about Jay. If you guys lose, you dedicated this match to Roman Reigns, and now if you lose and you don't deliver, what do you think he's going to do to you? So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it, and but I do think Roman Reigns needs to come back.
I agree. Well said. Well said. All right, now we're where we're going. We need to get going. We still got NXT and our draft predictions. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah. So one thing, and then I'll be quick, but I want to talk about.
Oh, dang it! Stop setting me up. Yeah. Stop setting me up today. Go.
I want to just talk about no follow-up and lack of continuity with the WWE. And again, maybe they're just trying to get through this Backlash event, and they're trying to get to Saudi. They're trying to get through the draft, and that's why everything feels repetitive. But last week on Raw, we ended with the Bloodline and Judgment Day had a stare down in the ring, and they had a truce saying that they'll take care of each other's problems. And the Bloodline would take care of the Rey Mysterio problem, and the Judgment Day should take care of KO and Sami Zayn problem for the Bloodline. And the Judgment Day couldn't hold up their end of the deal, and then they lost, which they shouldn't have lost, but they did. And then it ended with faction wars. You had the LWO beating up the Bloodline, and the Bloodline beating up KO, Matt Riddle, and Sami Zayn, and you had Judgment Day out there, beating everybody up. And it was an all-out fracas, and it was great, and it was reminded me of the late 90s, early 2000s endings to shows. And then this week, you wouldn't have even known that happened. There was no interaction. There was no meeting. There was nothing. There was no talk about it. Finn Balor came out happy-go-lucky. He cuts a promo on Cody Rhodes. Apparently he's moving on to Cody Rhodes now. And speaking of Cody, he comes out and same thing. Last week he attacked a bunch of security guards. He attacked a bunch of officials. He's hitting them with chairs. And I ranted about that for about 5 minutes last week. And
yes, you did a great rant.
How stupid that was. And I stand by that. But he even said in his backstage interview, I'm probably going to get punished for that. And I'll accept whatever punishment I get. And this week he comes out and there's no punishment handed to him. There's nothing. He comes out and does like a slow Magic Mike strip tease to show off his scar. And it's just moving on to the Brock Lesnar stuff. So I don't know. I feel like this happens quite a bit in the WWE. Not so much under Triple H, but it happened a lot under Vince. The Finn Balor lost to Roman Reigns because the turnbuckle broke, and instead of following up on that, they just moved on, and Roman went on to his next opponent, and they never talked about it again. Just little things like that. It really bugs me. And, again, I know they're trying to get to the draft. I know they're trying to get through Puerto Rico and backlash and everything. And maybe that's why they couldn't really follow up too much on it. But then why do it in the first place? So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And not only that, but like Adam Pearce has to be the most inconsistent manager in the history of the world. I mean, this dude is like all over the place. At least Vince was consistent with how he got promotions. Like Adam Pearce is very like, he is just, Bobby Lashley once bumped into an official and he was like, "You're fired for life." And then Cody Rhodes literally beats up every single security guard in that town that they were at last week, and no repercussion, no nothing. And then he was able to even put on a strip show for the crowd. So it was just like YOLO, like this dude, he gets to do what he wants, live his life. It was, and it's just all over and Finn Balor too, like reasons of why. They were just like, man, who should Cody beat this week? Well, obviously somebody from Judgment Day. Okay, but who from Judgment Day? Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
And why are they going to wrestle? Oh, because, they both have scars. Perfect. So, and that's why Finn said it. We all have scars. And once again, Finn Balor comes out. He's a threat. Finn Balor looks scared. Once again, he has a little bit of hair, but not enough to make you not look intimidating. His beard, you know what's beards. We look scary. You saw me in LA, homie. You saw me. So did Patrick. People didn't mess with us. You got the beard. He's like, I don't think that dude has ever ate a piece of bread or had a beer in his life. He's like a chiseled freaking weird non-carb dude. And he comes out and does his thing and he just gets beat by Cody Rhodes. I don't understand. And why Damian Priest doesn't come out, why Dominic couldn't have came out and interfered, did not. Like Cody Rhodes taking a DQ win wouldn't have hurt him. I don't know, but you're right. It's all just WWE, and I thought we were falling away from that because the stories were starting to get good and everything was starting to matter. But you're right. We kind of like had some impact last week, and then I think maybe they were just like, nah, I didn't really like that, so let's just kind of like go away with it.
There was that whole.
He didn't even really talk about Brock much either, right? Other than he's going to wrestle him, but it wasn't
coward.
like
he called him
there
a
wasn't much. Yeah, there wasn't much to it, but what can you do? What can you do? And
it was bad.
And we have a draft coming up, so we're going to do our predictions for everybody. But first, a lot of our predictions are probably going to come from a little episode that we watched yesterday, and that was NXT Spring Breakin'. Woo! I'm flashing everybody if you can't tell. Woo! Spring break,
like Cody Rhodes style. Yeah,
right. I was waiting for Tiffany Stratton to do that, but she never did. But they literally, Spring Breakin', just so you know, opens up with like a literal spring break video. NXT is like all about these like TV. Is that is that a HBK thing, or I don't know, production guy?
I know it's an AEW thing. So
but they just had like the first 10 minutes was literally like all the people who weren't going to wrestle getting on camera to have a barbecue fight. I like the one guy who was on the phone and he had one hamburger on a spatula, but none on the barbecue. He was just standing there with like a fake patty, like talking, like he was like they were like, dude, if you're barbecuing, you got to have one on this. Like he couldn't have had all the hamburgers on the barbecue. And then he's just like one, he just made one for himself, forget everybody else. But anyway, with that said, we had 2 title matches and we each want to talk about them. And I'm going to talk about the women's match. And I was super excited. We were there live, baby. That Indy Hartwell was the champ. We got super excited. I'm glad that they had this triple threat because Roxanne Perez lost, and we were kind of just like, is she going to get a rematch? And they're trying to push Tiffany Stratton. She's gotten better in the ring. And with what I'm going to talk about with what happened, I do not blame her. I don't think that was her fault whatsoever. In the replays, it looked like she did that dive clean and where she needed to land. But it was a good match. You got 3 good-looking girls who can freaking go in the ring, a triple threat. Everything looked promising, but for some reason, I don't know if they didn't like rehearse or they were just out of sync because the match wasn't bad. It was just sloppy. They were hurting themselves. That like I felt like there was one where Tiffany like kicked Roxanne in the head and it looked like she legit kicked her in the head and it looked like Roxanne was a little out. She kind of like rolled herself out of the ring and was like shaking cobwebs. There was one where was it Tiffany that got thrown up against a table outside and it looked like their head hurt. And then Indy Hartwell and Roxanne go outside and Tiffany does some kind of like jump flip thing and lands on them dead center. But Indy Hartwell's leg decided to be like Paul George or these other guys who have broken their like ankles or shins, and Anderson, it just landed. If they showed it so many times, like backwards, it was like it was gross to watch. And she instantly took her boot off herself, and Tiffany recognized that. And I want to give props because the rest of the match after that was okay. But for Tiffany to Roxanne to like have to wing that, especially Tiffany being a newer wrestler in the world of NXT, I have to give them props because they handled it. They did their thing, and it looked like Indy was done. She came back randomly and limped her way through and did a power bomb and other things, and she got the win. So I was thinking that since it went over, because this was the main event over Carmelo Hayes and Waller, which I thought was odd. I thought we were going to get a title change and Indy was going to go get called up. Obviously, that didn't happen because they had her come back out and win. So with that said, did they have her come back to win just because that's what they were going to do and they didn't want Roxanne or Tiffany to have the belt? So they just said, hey, do you think you can muster yourself through the rest of this match and just get the pin? Because obviously the referee has everything in his ear and he's telling Tiffany and Roxanne what's going on. And she got the win. They didn't want to call the audible because you can't give it back to Roxanne and Tiffany's probably not ready. So are we finally getting the generation of Jade? Are we getting, like what's going on now? Maybe it just looked bad, but sometimes you can twist things and they don't get hurt. Maybe she isn't hurt. She didn't look to be limping too. She was putting weight on it. So maybe it's not completely broken. And what say you? Did you like the match up until the point? Did you think it was sloppy, or do you think accidents happen? Do you blame Tiffany? Do you think next NXT is Indy coming out and saying thank you very much and they're gonna have a tournament? What say you? What's going on?
Yeah.
I haven't read anything on dirt sheets.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about him either. But, this was. I like the match, and I got to give them credit, especially because NXT is still quote unquote developmental, and for the developmental people to, carry a match when somebody gets hurt like that, it says a lot about them as professionals and them as wrestlers as well. So I got to give them mad props for that. I thought the match was great. Even after the injury happened, I thought the finish was a little wonky, but I'm never going to blame anybody for injuries. I think injuries are part of the game. It's part of what happens. I know, who was it? The guy in the Brawling Brutes that he got death threats because he hurt Big E's neck and broke his neck, and even Big E said, "Don't blame him. It's it's wrestling. It's what happens." And I'm not going to be that guy that's like, well, yeah, this is all Tiffany Stratton's fault. This is that was sloppy. It happens. It is what it is. And I think I got to give props to Indy Hartwell for finishing it. And maybe you're right. Maybe it wasn't as serious as it looked. It wasn't as bad as it looked. I mean, because she was putting weight on it, and maybe she was running on adrenaline. Because a few years ago, Klay Thompson tore his ACL in the NBA Finals against the Toronto Raptors on a dunk, and he like got up and walked off the court, and then he walked back onto the court to shoot his free throws, and then he walked off the court again to go to the locker room, and then that's when they found out that it was a torn ACL. So I mean, adrenaline can do a lot of things for you.
Agreed.
Can help you get through some stuff. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing with this. I think Shawn Michaels is probably in a tough spot because he took the belt off of Roxanne Perez with a medical injury before, when she collapsed in the ring, and that's how she lost the belt. And now they may have to take it off if it is serious, they may have to take it off of Indy Hartwell because of a medical scare again.
Yeah.
It's so I'm sure he's kicking himself. She's super kicking himself for
nice.
Super kicking himself for some of these things. But it is what it is. And I thought it was a great match, and I think you got to give props to everybody involved. And I did think it was fascinating too that they took the belt. They kept playing up the angle that Roxanne Perez never lost the belt. She never got pinned to lose the title. And then she took the pin in this match. So that whole storyline's over now because she took the L in this match. So which
is going to lead us to prediction time. But yes.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know if yours, but
no. Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was a good match, and I thought it was a good call to end this, make this the main event for sure. And then my match of the night, though, I got to give it to Grayson Waller and Carmelo Hayes. that match was a banger. I think that might be match of the week for me. From SmackDown, nice. Raw, and NXT. I think it was really freaking good. It was like the spots that they did, the high flying action that they showed, the reversals and the moves and everything. It was just from, there were times I never thought going into it, I didn't think that Grayson Waller was going to win the title, but in that match, I was like, he could actually win this thing. They may actually take it off of Carmelo. And then Carmelo ended up getting the win. And afterwards he called out Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker came out and, speared him through the set, which, I thought that was a cool move too. And, they're booking Braun Breaker strong. They're booking Carmelo Hayes strong. Grayson Waller takes yet another loss. And I think that's, that stinks for him, but again, prediction time coming up soon. But but this was a solid match. It was a good first defense for Carmelo Hayes, and I'm excited to see him versus Braun Breaker in a few weeks. I think it's going to be a good match.
I agree. I love the end too, and I like it because it doesn't have to do with Braun wanting the title, more like revenge. Braun beat Chase pretty easily. It was pretty much a squash match earlier in the day. I like his new black outfit. I like what they're doing with Braun. I also think I'll have him in prediction time as well, but I think Carmelo will get this win, but I like it. I like him getting speared through the set. I like that they put like caution tape afterwards. Was Carmelo still in there? Who knows? Great match. And speaking of, is Carmelo still in there? I want to say one more thing before we get into our segment, is that after all this and after the triple threat, they showed Tony D and his homeboy who beat Pretty Deadly. And now I think they are pretty dead because they were thrown into a lake, a river, I don't know, wherever they were in Florida. And basically they drive off after their trunk match and they just show the water and the waves. So obviously this is a metaphoric for what's going to happen in our prediction time. But once again, Impact did this a little while ago with Eric Young. I always think it's weird when you like kill people off in wrestling. Like this isn't like, I get this is scripted, but this isn't, Game of Thrones. Like you can't just kill people. But either way, and on national TV, like nobody, like the authorities in Florida were like, oh, okay, cool. Like, awesome.
No problem.
It's scripted, so obviously they're all right. We'll figure it out. But weird ending. But I did think, I was wondering if Carmelo Hayes was still in there after they put the car. Did they pull him out and then do the caution tape? Also, when he got speared, there was like a little girl, could be like 7 years old, who was like right there watching it, and her reaction was flipping awesome. Go back and watch it. Like right when Braun puts him through, the little girl's like, ah! She's like straight like, oh my God. It was pretty awesome. I love when they have setups like that, like when they know they're going to do it and it looks good. Anytime you spear somebody through something, it looks good. I don't know why, it just does. So it's like going through a table. It always looks good. I'll always get a pop. It's like a fart joke, right? I hear a fart joke, I'm going to laugh. Doesn't matter how old I am, or it's just, it is what it is. So, but so it's prediction time, my man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, because we have something coming up this Friday, right? Is it this Friday? Does it start Friday? Or the following Friday?
No, this Friday.
It starts this Friday. That's right. And it is time for the 2023 WWE Draft.
Yes, sir. Where is it?
There it is. Woo! It's draft time, baby. And before I ask you, because you always start off our segments, what this draft is really quick is that it's going to be one night on SmackDown, one night on Raw, and basically if you don't get drafted on either of those nights, then you become a free agent. And then they randomly pick you up, and we find out on the WWE website later on. And I don't know how many rounds they do. Is it like 10 or something? And they go back and forth. And I always think it's really stupid because on SmackDown, the number one picks are going to be like the best guys, and then the second best guy probably won't get picked again. And then on Raw, they get picked number one. You would think that wouldn't make sense, because why would you not just take that guy number two? I never got how they do this draft. I think it's stupid. It can't be too nice, because that doesn't make it correct. Like if you want Cody number two, but you pick Roman first, and then the other guy picks Seth Rollins, why can't you have Cody number two on your, why do you have to wait till SmackDown because he has a Raw because he has to be number one? I don't get how that works. But either way, and what usually happens too, and what we're going to talk about, is that tag teams will sometimes get drafted together, and then sometimes they don't. I don't know how, maybe they're not going to do that this year, but they've done that before, where they're like, the New Day drafted number 4, And then they're like, Montez Ford is drafted. That's separate. And then a Judgment Day are all one. They get drafted together. Good pick. You get extra people. And then sometimes it's always been,
the first one they did, it was, Ric Flair drafted all of the NWO. And then later that night, Vince McMahon drafted Bubba Ray, and then Ric Flair was like, "I'll show you. I'm going to draft Devon." And I was like,
yeah.
Hey, you broke up the tag. You drafted a tag team, then you broke up a tag team. So,
yeah. And I don't know if they're going to do the whole dumb thing too, where Raw gets 2 picks and SmackDown gets 1 because it's more people because it's a longer show. I don't know. But either way, what we're going to talk about, what you're going to fade into, is that we're going to talk about who we probably think is going to go number 1 on both nights, right? Who's going to get called up to? Who's going to go Raw, SmackDown? Who's getting called up from NXT? Who goes down to NXT? And who's breaking up? So, my man, what are you thinking? What do you want to start with? Let's roll with this. And we don't have a ton of time. We're already 10 minutes over, but let's get this show on the road.
We'll be quick. Yeah, so I think number 1 pick, obviously, and I think SmackDown's going to get the first pick, and I think it's going to be Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is the number 1 pick, and I think he's going to go to SmackDown. I really do.
100%. All right, so who's number 1 for Raw on Thursday?
Oh, for Raw.
Let's see, Zach. I wish they'd make the draft how it was back in the 2000s, where it's based off matches and the winners receive picks. That was pretty freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a draft. Me and Zach went to a draft together. It was where R-Truth turned heel and he beat up John Morrison. That was the night of the draft. And,
oh, nice.
They used to wrestle for draft picks and stuff. So if Raw won this match, it was Raw versus SmackDown. If Raw won the match, they got the pick.
Yeah.
If SmackDown won, they got the pick. They need to do that again.
I agree. So night 1 on SmackDown, the first draft, but they each take turns. So who's going number 1 on SmackDown for Raw? You got?
Yeah. This is tough. I think we don't know how they're doing it. So is Seth Rollins eligible on night 1 because he's technically a Raw superstar?
Yeah, because you can draft anybody. Yeah, it's not like show by show, right? No, so you can.
Yeah. So then I'm going to say Seth Rollins will be Seth Rollins will be the number 1 pick for Monday Night Raw.
All right. So we got the same.
Night Rollins after all.
Yeah. All right. So we got the same. I got Roman staying on SmackDown, the belt moving over to Raw, and I got Seth going there. And I think Seth will win that belt. So that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. So yeah, I agree with that fully. I don't think they're going to give it to Cody because that feels very secondary and Bush League to me that they would have Cody win that belt after losing. So
Cody's going to the same brand as Roman, I think.
Yeah.
I think I think Cody Rhodes is going to SmackDown.
I agree. All right, so now I'll do the number 1s on Raw. I'm gonna go Raw. All right, let's go SmackDown. Number 1 will be Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes is going to SmackDown. I think he will set sail and go that way. I think on Raw, number 1 will be Gunther. I think Gunther is going to go to Raw and maybe face Seth Rollins or face for that championship and keep that. So they have I think the IC title is more important. So I think Raw will have the IC, which is more important of the US comparison. And then since Seth Rollins championship will feel less important than Roman. So I feel like that's what we'll have over there. So I'm going to go Gunther. They're going to make him feel important. So that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I like that. I'm also going to say Cody Rhodes, number 1 on Raw, 2 SmackDown.
Raw or SmackDown? 2 SmackDown. Yeah, okay.
On Raw. On night 2 of the draft, he'll go to SmackDown, and then I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball at you. I think the number 1 pick to Raw will be Solo Sikoa.
Oh, so you think they're gonna split up blood? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. That'll spark it up. I like it. And
then I could see, I wouldn't put it past WWE to have Solo Sikoa win that belt either. And then have him and Roman going at it, over who's the tribal chief. I would love it. I would love it.
There's a few people. So, all right. So now let's go. You start. Let's just throw out some. Who do you think? Just start naming some people. Who you think's going to Raw or who's going to SmackDown. We don't have to go in order, but where do you think they're going to throw some people before we go into who's splitting up and who's going to NXT or who's coming up? Who do you think who's currently in WWE? Who you think they're going, or who's going to NXT? Who do you think in Raw and SmackDown right now? Who's some names that you think are going to go to NXT, go to Raw, go to SmackDown? What do you think? Just throw some out. I'll throw some out.
Yeah, I think so. Current SmackDown. I think. I don't think. I think Rhea Ripley will stay on SmackDown, and I think Bianca Belair will stay on Raw.
Agreed.
I think. I'm trying to figure out who's on what show because they haven't really been.
No, they have. But you don't have to know. Just say who's going. Like, who do you think's going to go where?
Yeah. I do think Karrion Kross will go to NXT. I think he needs to go to NXT. It's long overdue. I could see Sonya Deville maybe getting drafted to NXT as well. Because I think she would really benefit from being down there. I think she's great where she is, but I think she could help some of those younger people. And then for men, oh man, I think Braun and Ricochet will come to Raw and try to elevate the tag titles, and then the tag team division there. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what would be a big shakeup. Austin Theory, I think, will go to SmackDown. Wherever Gunther's not, Austin Theory will be.
Yeah.
And I think Gunther will come to Raw. So I think they're going to shake that up. And yeah, I think Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar will go to SmackDown.
Oh, finally! You think he's done with Raw, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I like those. I think Baron Corbin's for sure going to NXT.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I would like to see Mustafa Ali go to NXT. I don't think they need to move too many people. Dolph already went there, so I don't think he's going to go. But I really want to see Baron Corbin go there. I think Bray Wyatt's going to come back. I think he's going to go to Raw. I hope he brings Alexa Bliss with him. I think Karrion Kross is going to stay on SmackDown. I think all of Judgment Day is going to go to SmackDown. Even if they get drafted individually, I think they're all going to SmackDown. But I think Ray and the LWO will go to Raw. I think they're going to split them up again and kind of let them do their thing on the sides. I agree. I think Austin Theory will go to SmackDown because Gunther is going to Raw. I agree with you with Bianca Belair and Rhea, obviously. Tag team champions. I think they're gonna go to Raw. And then we're going to get new tag team champions over on SmackDown. I think they got to split those up too, because if we're going to be two different complete shows, they need to split them up. So yeah, that's what I think just off the top of my head. I mean, there's going to be so many and I can be wrong.
Oh yeah.
I like Brock Lesnar to SmackDown. That's intriguing. I wonder what they'll do with him. And I wonder Logan Paul, where are they going to put him? You know, he's going to get drafted. So.
Oh yeah. He's going to get drafted.
So, yeah. All right. So NXT, my man, who do you think? Name some names. Who's coming up? Who's ready for the big time? And where are they going to go? I mean, that's hard to say where they're going to go, but who's getting called up?
I think obviously Pretty Deadly is going to get called up. I think that was the
called up from heaven.
Yeah, which is like I mean, I guess it's just like being buried alive, right? Like you get put into a coffin and then you show up on the show 3 weeks later and it's like, hey, didn't I put you down in the ground a few weeks ago? So yeah, I think Pretty Deadly is going to come up and I think they're gonna kill it in the tag division. Let's see. I think Grayson Waller. I think it's time for him to. Not much else he can do on NXT other than lose, because he keeps losing on NXT. So yeah, I think he'd be a great heel in like a great mid card heel on Raw or SmackDown. A great, let's say Bobby Lashley wins the U.S. title from Austin Theory. I think he'd be a good opponent for him, or a great just put him with anybody, and I think it would be good. And he's been in NXT for a while, so he's long overdue. And yeah, and then I'm trying to think. Roxanne Perez. I think she's coming to the main roster as well. Yeah. I think those are going to be the three. I think Raw and SmackDown are going to send 3 to NXT, and I think NXT are going to have 3 call-ups, and I think it's going to be Pretty Deadly, and then Grayson Waller and Roxanne Perez.
All right, I got those 3 as well. Obviously, same reasons. And I think Roxanne was supposed to lose, and that was supposed to be her passing the torch anyway. That's why she took the pin. And that's why I think they had Indy come out. So she might be injured, but they had to have that moment so Roxanne can move on. And that's why they didn't want to give her the title. I'm also going to add Braun Breaker. I think he's going to get drafted and then lose to Carmelo at wherever they're going to wrestle, and then still go to Raw or SmackDown. I think that's why they turned him into a heel. And then I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add the To the Moon guy. I don't know why I forgot his name because he hasn't been around in so long, but I think he's been ready, and I think he needs to go to the main roster as well. I loved him, but he hasn't been on for so long. I completely blanked on his name, but To the Moon.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who that is.
He was rich. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's going to be the main ones. Do you think anybody is splitting up? What tag teams are going to get split up?
Oh,
we'll end it on that.
Yeah, I threw my pick out there that I think Solo Sikoa.
Cameron Grimes.
That's who it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good pick too. I made the pick that it's Solo Sikoa is going to break up from the not break from the Bloodline. I still think the Bloodline is going to be a thing, but he's going to be on Raw, and the rest of them are going to be
two different brands. Okay.
There's part of me that thinks you got to split the Usos because if you're going to have main event Jey Uso and you're going to try to push him as a single star, you got to keep him away from his brother. So there's part of me, but I'm not ready to make that commitment just yet to split them. But I think the Street Profits are definitely breaking up. I think they're going to be split.
They even said it.
Yeah, they're going to be split on different brands. Yeah, so those are my two. I think Solo is going to go to Raw, and the rest of the Bloodline will go to SmackDown, and then I think the Street Profits will break up.
All right. I think the Street Profits for sure. They announced it basically, and it's a good way to not have to turn either one heel. Just split them up, and they can go on their own ways. I'm gonna go Alpha Academy. They're splitting up. Otis will become Otis officially. By the way, is Maxine still in the Maximum Male Models leader, or now is she just with Otis? The other two have literally vanished off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened. And she came out with them too for their match. So I don't know what's going on, but I think Alpha Academy is splitting up. And I like your pick of the Usos splitting up because it's main event Jay, but when they were talking, Jimmy called himself main event Jimmy. And he said main event Jimmy is back. And he was hyping that up. So the Usos have done everything. Why not split up the Bloodline? I mean, it makes sense, and you can have them go around. So I agree with that. I like that. But yeah, it's time for the Street Profits to split up, and let's create some new tag teams and go from there. So yeah, man, I'm excited. It's going to be interesting to watch and see where they go. I just hope in the end that they stay true to the split. Don't do all this and have them split, earn new titles, and then just have them wrestle on each other's shows again. Let's split them up. And if you want to have them meet at big pay-per-views, SummerSlam, Rumble, Survivor Series, Mania, I'm fine with that. But other than that, let them be split.
I even want them to bring back the brand-specific pay-per-views. And
you can do that now. You're already paying for the subscription, so have them. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. So
but yeah, it should be an exciting time. I'm curious to see how they're going to do it too. That's is Adam Pearce going to be making all the picks against himself?
They're bringing back those executives, brother.
What a great pick I made at number 1. Man, I really can't believe I drafted Roman Reigns. I really wanted Seth Rollins. It's just yeah. I think, are they going to bring back the execs? Is Triple H going to be involved? Are they going to have guest pickers? Are they going to have Pat McAfee make some picks? I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm excited to see what they do, and I hope they treat it like an actual draft and not just a spectacle. But we'll see. We'll see for sure.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. That was it. That was 23 minutes over our time limit.
That's right. That's what we do around here. Yeah.
We're always on schedule. All right. As always, I'm Mr. MWO. Keep following us. Keep subscribing. Keep liking. And I swear to you, starting tomorrow, I'm going to start doing TikToks again. I have not been doing TikToks. I will be back tomorrow. My life's been hectic. It was because
Dom hasn't been on TV. I thought that was
I don't have anything to post without Dom
TikTok strike.
TikToks. I'm out in front of the TikTok place. Until WWE does more Dominic, I'm not posting. No, I got to get. I've just been busy.
Banning TikTok until Dom is back.
Just busy, kids being sick, stuff going on. But yes, as always, I'm Mr. MWO, and with me is
I am Shooting Star Press on TikTok. Follow me, subscribe to us, hit us up on YouTube, Twitch, everything. Killing it right now. So
we are. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, 2 dudes out.